All right, this video is for anyone who is getting ready to get back in shape, start training again, running more consistently. I want to help you avoid injury and train smarter. Hi everyone, Steve Gonzer, physical therapist with Run Smart. Real quick, before I get started and talk about this is all part of the Run Smart app. So if you're interested in just wanting everything given to you on how much to run, how to strength train, everything that you need in running, be sure to check out the link in this post because that offer does expire on Saturday, whatever June day that is, and we have a discount going on the Run Smart app. So big things that I see where a lot of runners are having trouble stringing together a really successful training cycle is because some fluctuations in what they're doing, and they're really missing some core components that, as a physical therapist, I find that these work really, really well in preventing injury. And it's all about risk management because when you're running, you're trying to get the most bang for your buck. Like, you want to get faster, you want to get more fit, but you also have to balance that injury side because you can get a lot more fit and faster by running hard all the time, or running hard not all the time, but more frequently, and fitting that into your schedule. But a lot of times that carries a lot more risk to it. So how do you get to where you want to be, whether it's faster, new distance, just getting fit without running into issues? And at any point, Winston may come and tackle me. He's chasing birds right now, so just be prepared for that. So here's what I think you guys need to focus on, and I use this in the Run Smart app all the time. I'm not very fond of bugs. The first one is a 60% rule. So before you start any training plan, you should be running about 60% of your mileage before you start your training plan. So if you are going to run 50 miles a week, you should be at least be comfortable in that 30-mile-a-week range before you start your training plan. Too many times runners get like super serious on a start date, so they'll limp along, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to start, my training plan starts on Sunday, so I'm going to get serious on Sunday. You really should be a pre-training before you start any training plan. So be sure that you're not limping into your training. If you are like, well, my training plan starts Sunday and I'm not running 60% of my mileage, what do? Just take that first 4 weeks of your training plan and scale it back, because the builds are where people get in most trouble. And I see this all the time with runners as a physical therapist, is that when training plans typically start in certain times of the year, and about 4 to 6 weeks later is where I see a rise in runners getting injured because they're ramping too quickly. So once you're up to cruising speed and you're running consistently, you should be a lot less likely to get hurt. So that first 4 to 6 weeks is so important. Make sure you're going into that nice and strong and have some consistency to it. You're not trying to get back in shape and start a training plan all at the same time. The other thing that I would recommend is following a 2-to-1 principle. I use the 2-to-1 principle in all our training plans on the Run Smart app, and it just works so well. So I'll explain that to you. The 2-to-1 principle is this: is every 2 weeks you build, 1 week you're going to recover. So if you're going to run, I'm just going to use easy math. If you're going to run a 50-mile-a-week plan, you're going to build for 2 weeks. So it might be like 32 1 week miles or kilometers. And then the next week is 34 to 36 miles or kilometers. Every third week, so it's build, bring the mileage back down to 60%. So every third week, you'd be at 30%. Too often, runners are making the crucial error where they scale back their recovery weeks if they have them, but they don't scale them back enough. So when they're running like 45, 50 kilometers a week, they'll scale back to like 38 to 40 kilometers or miles, but it's not scaled back enough. You should always drop it back down to the 60%. And again, that's about minimizing your risk. And you can't run successfully, you can't have a great race day, you can't have a great training plan and get fitter if you're hurt and have something nagging you all the time. So 2-to-1 principle is super important. The 60% rule, getting into that training plan or getting fit before you start your training plan is important. The other thing is strength training. And I see a lot of times runners start off and they're really kind of gung-ho on things, but they tail off towards the end. Life gets in the way, their training gets in the way, and the first thing to get cut is strength training. So I just did a ton of landscaping today, putting all these flowers in the ground. Winston, get out of the mulch. I have a thing with mulch too, and he knows it, and he probably knows I'm live. So the big thing is, like, I'm planting flowers, and they're rinky-dink, they're small, and it really kind of reminds me of strength training. Once you start off, like, you're not going to see results right away. You're going to be like, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm sore now, and it takes time to build up that strength. So what I'd recommend doing is just like when you do it, you keep on watering that plant, you keep on watering that flower, and eventually it gets a little bit bigger, and then you get that critical mass where it just booms and it's really big. The same thing's going to happen with your strength training. If you can stay consistent for 4 to 6 weeks, not only are you going to build the habit, but you're also going to start seeing the strength gains in that 4 to 6 to 8 week mark, because anatomically it takes that long. So if you're a runner who, like, this is huge, if you're a runner who goes out and you go out and you like grunt, you're like, oh God, I just feel stiff, and you really like take a mile or two before you feel good, or you just hurt the whole time you're running, just go do some strength training, and that will fix so many issues that runners have. And it just takes that consistency. Now, if you're a runner and you're like someone who's into training plan, and you're trying to figure out how to fit this in, because when a push comes to shove, strength training is probably one of the best things you can do in your running. I know it's not running. I know you'd rather be running, but if you want a long, healthy running career, if you're sick of injuries, it's the quickest way to get out of that rut, is to take an easy paced run or a base pace run. If it's like a 30 to 45 minute run, 30 minutes of strength is way going to outperform a 30 to 45 minute run. And you just have to buy into that, because I know a lot of people are like, I just rather run than do this stuff. I don't really want to. But you're going to see a lot of benefit from that. So all this stuff makes a huge difference in the long run, pun intended. But if you want some help, here's what you need to do. You need to do the 60% rule before you start your training plan. You need to follow the 2-to-1 principle, and you need to add strength into your training plan or your running in general, because you're just going to be that fit runner. I always talk about runners, they're scrawny sometimes, and I'm like, you don't want to be a scrawny runner. You're really you want to be fit, strong, and healthy, and that's the way to do it. If you want some help with this, be sure to check out the link in the post. The RunSmart app is discounted. You can train with me and the RunSmart community for the whole year for only $99. It's like $8.25 a month. So check it out, and if not, just follow these principles. I promise you they will help you, and I hope to see you inside our community too. All right, everyone, have a great night. Bye-bye.